Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Jung Jun Lee. I'm from South Korea, and it's been 15 years that I came to the US. Now I'm living in San Jose, and the San Jose is my, where I live and I work. So usually for now I create my work at my home. My home is my studio. So I'm share my space with my family, so they always, appreciate my work. I forced to appreciate them, actually. Yeah, so my work is about the landscape, and I start my work the questioning, how can I make something invisible, like our form of life, into what I can see. So that's one of my questions when I start to work. So I encountered some landscape that was in my mind or I experienced. So if you see my work, you can realize some part is really like a real landscape and some part is like a kind of surreal. So I compose all of my memory and my experience and the landscape that the real image, I compose them. There's a few cities I was born and raised in Seoul, and I lived my first place in the US was Berkeley. In Berkeley, after San Jose, Atlanta, moving to Boston, and I came back to California again. So all that experience, and before actually that experience, I also lived in Paris in France. So I would like to say it was just right before I graduated my college. So when my old friends go to the master school, I went to Paris. So I stayed there for 2 years. And I think that time had me a lot of impact because I had to, I had to stand by myself. I need to figure out everything, and just if there's some challenging part, I need to figure it out by myself. So at the time, I think I learned how to solve and how to express myself. So I also get the positive or any energy toward life. So I would say, that period also even if it was a transition period for me, but it was also very impact to me. So the other cities and other cultures in the U.S. also, it made me to, the figure, make my now shape, I think, artistically and the physical of my art. Let me say some elements of my work, the geometric shape. I think that's the starting point when I came back to Korea after living in France. I think that the geometric shape make easy to translate my thinking or my expression to the others. At the time, I think like that. So I experienced that the geometric shape compose the landscape and the other experience in the other cities that also shaped me. So that emotion and that experience, it's all stayed in the work, I think. So, yeah. The emotion in the landscape that I experienced from the other, the city and cultures, that if I say, I could say it's kind of like some unfamiliarity, but it's excitement in the same time, and definitely it's loneliness in my mind, and sometimes it's the sense of freedom as well. So the life goes on. That means not like a sighing or giving up. It's not like that. It's not like that. So it's kind of like just life throw at us. Even if it's not perfect and we don't have the right answer, anyway, we have some energy and we have some strength to moving forward. So I just want to express that idea that, the nomad, so I use the word nomad that present accepting the new environment, some new things. So if I just accept new things and making by my own way, and just it goes just to moving forward on my way. I just want to express that idea. So not like a entirely positive or entirely negative, but just as it is. Just life is going on, and we have a strength, and we have, even if it's keep changing, and sometimes it's like a messy, but we still have a strength. I'd like to express that energy. So I would like to explain that piece of the work for the explaining the meaning of the landscape for me. So this, if you see this painting, you can see some towers up there on the left side, and in the middle, maybe you would find some familiar scenery for the Bay Area people, because I presented some image of the Golden Gate Bridge and some scenery of the downtown and Delhi cities. Maybe you could find, I just expressed like a Palace of Fine Art as well. I don't know if you can see or not. And also if you go just to follow out down to the screen, you would find some maybe unfamiliar for you, the tower of it's Korean traditional, the tower there. So I composed two different landscape and scenery in the one screen. So that means for me, when I work up this work, I wanted to define how I live, what would be, if I visualize my form of life in the painting, what would be. So I mixed two different landscapes in one screen. So I have two daughters. I have a 7th grade and 8th grade daughters, and so I can't live anymore. I can't live like the entirely Korean way, but I cannot be American neither. I'm just like a kind of mixture that two cultures, and so I just made a concept for mixing two that landscapes, the symbol of landscape. That would be finally that would be the new form of the landscape, and I think that's the form of my life as well. So if you see the round shape over the landscape, many people ask me if it is sun or moon, what is it? So I say, I would not define exactly it would be a sun or moon, but in my background, my heritage in Korea, we have a lot of the culture related on the moon. So we use the moon calendar, and there's some like Thanksgiving, we celebrate our harvest in the fall for the full moon as well. So I would say it's more close to the moon than sun. So if you would say what is meaning to landscape is meaning to me, it would be like a form of life. So that would be my first answer for your question. And so the second question, so after these two paintings, I start to use the embroidery and stitching in my work. So as you said, the painting has some fluidity. Also, it feels like a fast and like a very express. And the embroidery work they required me a lot of time and sitting more and like a more getting like a more calm and like a meditate moment there. So I reflect my life and something that going on my mind. I just look it inside inward while I'm do embroidery. So as my painting is going on like this, usually we can see it's kind of the 3D, it looks like even if it is 2D flat painting, but you can see it's like a three-dimensional point. So I always thinking about making some sculpture and, the three-dimensional work in the future. And so now I'm interested in using the same material as a canvas. So I use the cutting canvas and folding it and stitching it. So make the sculpture, the elements. So I connected them together. Yeah. Yeah, so the stitching and embroidering, yeah, it's definitely from start connecting for me. It's connecting. So I think even if I'm doing a painting, I, connect all the shapes together. And the act of the stitching, I think it's similar with that acting. So it's kind of the parallel way to express the work. So yeah, so when I use the stitching and embroidery, it's our life is sometimes the taking apart and coming that it again, it just come together again. So I just express that process of the life and the happening through the embroidery and the stitching. So caring and mending would be later, but it starts with the reconnecting and the connection to the different size and the different the shape of the life or shape of the happening. Also, if you see some painting on the left in the middle wall, I put a lot of the embroidery, like a flower image. That looks like a patch sometimes. So I also would like to express some there's some pop art, energy, and not like a very seriously, but like to enjoy moments. I would like to express that moment there. So if you can see the painting on the left, you will see the embroidery looks like a patch. Yeah. So I think the action, so when I go outward, to like meeting people or visiting some place, or just accepting all the things. Yeah, it's like just accept, and I just reflect that in my mind and in my emotion. That movements like how can you say, the pendulum movement. So if there's something is swing to toward the world and it hits me, maybe I can just accept it by myself, and I reflect on my way. And it's also that the happening makes me like my inward is more makes some depth. So I think that process keep just moving in my mind, and just I think that movement like that. So every single element I just cut and hand sewn and make I just stuff some fiber inside to make the volume and the shape, the keeping shape. So I would say this would be expanded anyway. This is not like a finished or completed work. I would like to expand more this kind of the shapes ongoing in the future. So it's gonna be the ongoing work. And also I would like to make it, if I can have a chance, I would make like just stitching around us. So maybe it makes like a big bag of I don't know, maybe big shape of the bags or the water drops. I don't know, yeah. So some like other symbolic shape, yeah. So full 3D, I would like to plan in the future, yeah. Yeah, I would like to say this moment that I can create my work and I can show my work to you is really precious to me, and I'm really, really grateful to this moment because, the myself in the past was not like that. I think, so I reflect myself during the processing my work. I reflect my past as well a lot. A lot of time I reflect my, the life in Seoul. So even if I was really passionate student in the college, but I wouldn't, it was like not like a grateful feeling. I think it was just my, studying and duty for the students like that. But, I had a pause for almost decades because I have to move and I have to settle down and raising my kids. So I always keep my passion in my mind during that time. So once I restart my work like this, every moment is really grateful, really precious to me. So if I would say I was 20 in Seoul, and if I see this work, sometimes it would be confused. I feeling like, so Korean, we always be educated, be humble, so that's why I learned a lot from, during the Paris and in the living in US. I changed myself a lot actually. So, I don't think the be humble is not bad way, but just to keep myself like proudly also is really important. But I'm not very familiar with expressing that way. So thank you for saying that instead of me. And I will be very proud. So in this point of my success, I would like to just to say, maybe there will be a lot of failure and a lot of, the very difficult moments. Definitely. But if you keep thinking about what you are doing and what you want to do, one day, if you really want, you would do that. You can just, realize that. So just not quitting, yourself to thinking about what you want and what will you do. I think that will be all, I cannot. It's not a failure. It's just like a timing, I think. It's not just a time to realize that it's not now, but maybe in the future. So we can just be positive to your future. Absolutely. And for me, I just wait. I'm just doing my work. That's it. And maybe timing, if I'm lucky, timing will come. Or not, that's fine because I really already enjoyed that moment. I really did my work with a grateful moment. So that doesn't matter for me.